sign the poster, and if anybody's interested, then there are posters for sale after this talk, and I'll be happy to sign them. No charge. For more than 30 years, I've been trying to get my photographs shown to a wider audience, or audiences, and I've had many setbacks and broken promises. So this is a special moment for me, and I want to thank all the people who helped me. There are many people on that journey, but there are people like Ray Hendricks. He knew I was going to call his name. Ray helped to organise some of the musical things that you've seen tonight. So thanks, Ray, for organising that. And also Diane Schroeder, she's in here somewhere. Diane also helped to organise things, and she organised a couple of the musicians tonight as well. So thanks, Diane, for doing that. I also want to thank Donald Stewart. Donald was one of those people who saw the vision from early days, and he's been championing me. So thanks, Donald, for doing that. I want to thank other people like June Giovanni, Aisha Adoni, Janet Brown, Jacqueline Springer, Marcia Dillon, Rodney Watts, Marcia, Karen and Odette. Yeah, and that baby as well. Especially that baby. And yeah, thanks to my family for coming down today. It's really great to see them all and cheering me on. And I'm sorry for anybody who I might have forgotten, but it wasn't personal. But I think to really understand the true history of Notting Hill Carnival and Ladbroke Grove, you really need to read Ishmael Blago's excellent book, The Front Line, because that book tells the real story and struggle and resistance of black identity in Notting Hill through the voices of the people who were there. So for me, that is the essential book if you really want to know about Carnival. What you're seeing tonight is just my experience of Carnival, but Ishmael Blago's book is the real deal, if you like. The exhibition colour photograph was taken. Do you know what year it was taken? Can you guess what year it was taken?
2000.
Somebody said something.
85.
Somebody said 85, and they're right. That photograph was taken in 1985. And it was the band called Kokea. And since taking it, I never knew or met the lady in the photograph. Until I met her for the first time tonight. Hold on, it's coming. Easy. So yeah, I took that photograph in 1985, never met the woman, since taking the photograph. And then what happened, Glenn, a friend of mine, he saw the poster and he said he knew the lady. Who the lady was. And I said, I was a bit skeptical at first, and I said, yeah, right, of course you know who she is, because Glenn's that guy. But it turns out he was telling the truth. And he actually contacted the lady in the photograph. And so I'm pleased to reveal that the lady in the photograph is here, and her name is Michelle Gedron. So Michelle, can you stand up and introduce yourself 40 years later? And she still looks good. And she made the photograph beautiful. So, Michelle, many thanks. Can you believe it?
No way.
I've never met that lady until today. For the first time since I took that photograph. So, all the stars were aligning tonight. So, Michelle, thanks for coming down. So this exhibition is just part of my story. I don't claim to be an expert or an authority on Carnival, but I have experienced and lived it for many years. And this is part of my journey. And I'm happy to share some of it with you tonight. So thanks.
Thank you for that introduction and insight. And I hope that we can provide a little bit more through this Q&A that we're about to do. So, wow, I don't even know how to follow that. I'm just going to jump right in. So, where does your love journey with photography begin?
I think my journey with photography began through my love of music. Excuse my voice, by the way. I don't always talk like this. I'm not trying to be like Barry White. Just seem to have got a sore throat tonight, so I'm not trying to play anything tonight. I think my love of photography started with my love of music. I've always been interested in music. I've always loved music. I've been interested in all kinds of black music, whether it's reggae, soul, jazz, anything. So I bought a camera, about 30 quid, I think it cost me back in the day. And those days we used to shoot on something called film. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but yeah, we had film. And I started going to concerts and taking photographs of people. At first it was more like snaps of concerts. And the more I took photographs, the more I kind of developed a love for photography. So my first real interest in photography started through music. And it was through my love of music that I started taking lots of different photographs. And so the archive that I have began with music. And I've been taking photographs ever since. But to get to your question, what was your question? Oh yeah, so it began with that, yeah. Sorry? Yeah, it is, senior moment. Talking about carnival, just to get back to a bit of carnival. Back in the day, I was living in a youth hostel in Harlesden, and the guys I used to hang out with, they were kind of, I don't know, you might call them street smart or whatever. We used to go to a club in Ladbroke Grove called the Metro. To listen. So there's a few more great people in there tonight.
That's what?
Yeah, that's it. So there was a sound system down there called Sufferer, which was run by Dennis Bovell. And every Friday night we used to go down there. So me and the guys, we kind of got used to hanging out in Ladbroke Grove. And then one day, one of the guys said, "Oh, there's the carnival. Have you ever been to the carnival?" And I said, "No." So they said, "Yeah, you should go down to the carnival." So I took my £30 camera down to carnival and started taking photographs. And it was a strange year to be taking photographs because all of a sudden things kicked off.
That leads me to my next question, is about your first carnival ever. And what was that experience like? So did you tell us the year that it was? Set the scene for us, set the scene.
It was in a decade called the 70s, I think. Oh. I think, or maybe it was somebody else, but anyway. Yeah, I think it was 76, it could have been 76, something like that. Yeah, in the hot summer, yes. So a few more people were around that year. I was very much interested in music, especially reggae music. So I was interested in photographing a lot of the sound systems, because the sound systems was really what really rocked for me. And I was very much interested in dub and reggae and all the rest of it. I didn't actually know the sounds I was following, but apart from Dennis Bovell. So I took a few photographs of some of the sound systems that were playing. And then we were kind of walking around Acklam Road and under the flyover, because in those days Carnival was different to how it is now. It was much more open. And you could sense a little bit of tension. I saw some guys getting into some small little fights. And then these fights became bigger fights, and then the guys decided that they were going to turn their attention not to each other, but to the boys in blue. So bottles started to fly, and then bottles started to fly, and bricks started to fly. And it all kicked off under the flyover in Acklam Road. I mean, people talk about their own story of Carnival, but I was there, of what happened that year. And it actually kicked off under the flyover in Acklam Road. And that's where the first kind of uprising began. And then once those small skirmishes became big skirmishes, then it was a full-flooded event. I was walking around with my camera and I was like, wow, these things are happening. And I just ran with the guys and took photographs, and some of the photographs were very shaky because I didn't know. And in those days I said, you shot on film. So I was still learning because I was a youth, So yeah, I took lots of photographs. And the funny thing is, I was learning, but there's about 2 or 3 photographs that I took in that year that are in this exhibition. I think maybe you can guess which ones.
Yeah, no, definitely do stay around to have a look at those photos, because to me, some of them almost look like paintings. The way that the grain was kind of showing up in the images, I thought that was really amazing that you were able to capture that moment. You didn't realize how significant it would be until, you know, we look back on history now and all of the things that have happened. So thank you. Thank you for documenting history, you know. Next up, your earlier exhibition, Masquerading, the Art of Notting Hill Carnival, was a significant milestone for you. Was there any change of focus within your photography after this exhibition? And if you're able to tell the people when that was too.
Yeah, I started taking photographs in '76 at the very first carnival, and then the Arts Council reached out to black photographers and said they wanted to sponsor some photographers, and I applied, and I was one of 3 photographers. There was myself and David Bailey and Sunil Gupta, and the 3 of us were chosen for the Arts Council to document Carnival. So I decided, yeah, when they said yes, because I was taking photographs at Carnival and this was the first time I could get paid, so yeah, man, of course I'm gonna go. The police? It's Dr. Michael Manbillin, inspiration. Michael likes to make an entrance, and he's a top guy. So big respect to Michael. Michael is the man who created the West Indian front room, so big respect to Michael. He's another champion of mine as well, and big respect to Michael. Oh yeah. So yeah. Prior to getting the Arts Council job, the job, I used to take photographs of more of the street stuff that was happening. I was taking photographs of the sound systems. I was taking photographs of people reveling and all the rest of it. I wasn't really following the floats and stuff as such. But when the Arts Council said, come and come and photograph Carnival, I thought, well, I better change my focus, because I decided that I was going to do more of the floats and more of the soca. So I was kind of emboldened, because I now had the badge of authority, if you like, from the Arts Council. And I decided that I would just do more floats. And ever since then, my focus on Carnival has changed. I've taken lots more photographs of the floats, the Carnival, the costumes, a lot more of the street stuff. But prior to that, most of my photographs focused more on the sound systems. I still photograph sound systems, even up to this year's Carnival. But the change for me in terms of coverage of Carnival began to change, because I didn't really like soca at the beginning.
That's a whole other debate right there. But, this current exhibition highlights 4 central themes that you've chosen to explore. So Ian has picked these themes himself. He had a huge say in how things look and how things are kind of displayed throughout the show, and the themes as well. You've touched on ideas of joy a little bit and resistance, but another theme I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about is sound. What is the significance of sound for you?
Well, to me, Carnival is about sound. You know, you can't go to the Carnival and have quiet. You know, Carnival is about noise, sound, whether that sound is drum and bass, whether it's dub, whether it's grime, whatever. Carnival is about sound. And as I said earlier, I was driven, the sound coming from over there, like maybe in agreement. I was driven to Carnival, I was interested in Carnival, as I said, primarily because of the sound systems. And I've always followed the sound system. So for me, going to Carnival, it's about, first of all, checking Abashanti, checking at Channel 1, tick box ticked, checking at Mastermind, checking at Saxon, big respect to Gladdy Wax, go and check on Gladdy Wax. And then it's some of the youth man sounds jumping up and down with Joy, Grime and Rampage and this one and that one. And I love going to Carnival because I'm going to hear a mashup mix up of music that I never normally listen to. So I love grime, I love hip hop, I love all genres of music. And one of the things that feeds me is going to Carnival is that I know I'm going to hear music that I haven't heard before, or maybe music I have heard before, but it kind of energizes me. So sound is so integral. And also soca as well.
Thank you. We can't mention Carnival and not mention soca, of course. You have to pay respects in that way as well. And of course, your soundscape is something that you had a heavy hand in curating alongside Black Male Beats here as well. So it's fantastic that you were able to really put, you know, your energy and kind of your experience into the soundscape. So when you come along and you come outside after this sort of Q&A that we do, later along the night you will hear some of that soundscape as well, which is amazing. So well done on that. Next up, I'd love to ask you to speak a little bit about your transition from photography to film and TV work.
Yes, Shem created a brilliant soundscape for the music. It's 65 minutes long, but you don't have to stay for all of it. But the soundscape goes from the beginning of music to the current day. So hopefully they've keyed it up at the beginning so we can go through that journey for as long as you can stay. After being successful as a photographer over a number of years, I kind of got a bit tired of it and bored of it, and I wasn't really making a living from it. So then I started to look for new ventures, and I was kind of inspired by friends of mine who were starting to move into film and television. And one of those people was Imru Bakari. He was one of my early mentors. You know, I liked what Imru was doing. I don't know, he's not here today, is he? No. Yeah. Imru was one of my early inspirers, really. And I saw him making films, and I thought, yeah, I want to get some of that. You know, I wasn't interested in directing. Coming from the camera background, I was only interested in camera. So I started to go. I went to film school, did studies there. Went to Goldsmith, did television production there, and then I started hooking up. There was a movement then. The Channel 4 workshop movement was in full swing. So I used to connect with Black Audio. I used to connect with Chedo. I used to connect with Sankofa. Got on very well with Menelik Shabazz, and then started to do a few films with Menelik. And I was also working with other up-and-coming filmmakers as well. One of those was a guy called Amani Naptali. I don't know if he's here tonight, but Amani was somebody who I got on well with, and we made a film called The Black Bohemians. And then after that, he said, there's an up-and-coming group that they want to make a video. Would I be interested in? And I said, yeah. And the funny thing is, I was supposed to go to Jamaica to see my family at the time. And it was like, do I go to Jamaica or do I stay in London? I chose to stay in London. And the group that we made the video was what's it called again? Keep on Moving, for some group called Soul to Soul. And that was my first ever video. And Soul to Soul. And we were just a group of guys, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I did know what I was doing. But, you know, we were still very young and not really knowing what to do. But I really enjoyed working on that video, especially doing some of the handheld camera work, walking down Camden High Street, seeing some of the dancers, Trouble Anderson, this one, that one. It was a really great time, and you know, I think, was it 15 million views later? It's still going strong.